Hey, hold on. We're not done here yet. I got a job for you, bro.
5 top quality scores.
Big ticket cars. Major payday, bro.
Hello everyone and welcome. Yes, I am aware that I am kinda late to the party in terms of reviewing the delivery charge heist, but honestly don't really give two singular shit, so without wasting my time, let's just get straight into it. The term, in terms of the update, there really isn't much. They added a pop-up for getting loot for whenever you secure, and then there's also, a new mask. There's also some Twitch drops. Yeah, this update doesn't really have anything new. I'm really sorry to say, honestly. Yeah, that's it. Oh, and you can kind of buy favors, but I will get into that later. But let's talk about the big meaty of this update, which is the delivery charge heist. If I had to describe this in one way, it would be unique. The delivery charge heist is a very well-made heist, and I think that it's probably one of the best heists that we've gotten so far. I'd say the second comes next to something like Fear and Greed. But let's go over with the heist. The core premise of this is that we're breaking into a Gensec warehouse that are overfilled with lots of money. And I'm talking a lot of it. And you might think that there's only like one vault or a couple of rooms, but this heist is quite unique when it comes to loot variety. You see, vaults and as well as the other rooms that normally contain money are not always going to have money. There's a lot of RNG when it comes to the heist, and there's so many ways you can actually enter the building itself. You can either go straight forward onto the main area, or through the side, or through the back. There's so many different ways you can actually enter the warehouse itself, and there's certain RNGs to where you can actually sort of enter it in a way you normally wouldn't be able to enter. On a good example I can give is at the back of the heist where you normally enter through with a blue keycard, there's usually sometimes a stack of crates that you can actually vault over that leads you inside of the vent. Sometimes that crate can actually be there and sometimes it's not there. And another good example I can give is at the front of the building where there's like a parking lot, there's usually a van posted up next to the garage. It can sometimes spawn there, sometimes it cannot. It allows you to climb over and enter onto one of the windows, where sometimes one of them can be broken and sometimes they're not. In terms of loot, you're only stealing money, but where or how they spawn is actually unique and different each time you play it. So sometimes there can be a lot of money in the vault, or sometimes there can be money on armored transports, or sometimes they can actually only spawn on like certain other gated areas and etc. And there's so many RNG to this heist that it makes it unique for both stealth and loud, but this more feels like Shadow Raid. And yes, I know a lot of people have already said it, but that's literally how it is. It's literally just Shadow Raid, but a lot more complex in certain ways. One good example that I can give in terms of RNG is that sometimes whenever the heist has not gotten loud instantly, a extra armor transport can actually come in and just stop somewhere. Your job is to kinda either get in quickly to stop it or prevent it from leaving by performing some sort of action. I have not gotten this RNG yet, but I have seen videos of it actually happening, so keep that one in mind. But the core premise is that you're actually moving around searching the entire facility in search of key cards, QR codes, and as well as other useful items to be able to open certain gates and as well as the main vault itself. And the amount of vault combinations are like really in the huge numbers. You can't just like simply write it down on the text chat to kind of remember it. You kind of have to like really memorize it because there's a lot of them. Sure, you can write it, but for me personally, the way I do it is that I just take a screenshot and put it into MS Paint and just kind of leave it there and kind of take a guesswork on which one it is. Again, the money you get is different. And there's also like a billboard or a whiteboard upstairs in the office where you open with a red keycard that actually tells you where are the monies are stored. They can be stored on the garage, they can be stored on the loading bay. The game gives you a good knowledge on where everything is. Again, this heist is so focused on RNG that it makes it unique. Every game you do, every time you play it, it's always different. It's how you perform it that makes it different. I myself could just like barge through the main entrance, someone else could enter through the side entrance, and someone else could enter it through the back. It's entirely different, and the loot securing is also different depending on what you're doing, if it's stealth or loud. So you either secure it through the basic van, or through like a sewer that you have to throw your bags at, or sometimes if you're loud, you either escape via a helicopter on the rooftop, or onto the side entrance where you throw down a cage and Bile comes up and pick it up, or through a big ass truck that you have. And then there's the aforementioned the favors that you can buy. This is the first ever time where you're able to buy favors for a specific heist. This is only for delivery charge, and I'm certain that they will be able to allow you to buy specific favors from other heists, but for the time being, it's actually only for the delivery charge heist itself. And all of them actually bring something new to the table and actually changes the gameplay in one way or another. The max capacity one pretty much just brings in every bit of money that you can think of, but at the cost of adding more guards and as well as security drones of being able to roam around. And when things go loud, heavy units will actually start to roll in instantly, unlike in before where you kind of have to like open certain doorways to actually initiate the heavy units rolling in. Road Rage has a unique truck that spawns in where you have to kind of, if you're stealth, you have to set up a coordinates as to where it needs to go, and then find the same tool we used on Road Rage to be able to maneuver the truck around. It works for both stealth and loud, and there will be certain times where certain forklifts or areas will be blocking off the the armored transport, and you kind of have to load it on the back of a truck that you're going to be escaping with together. Well, kinda, technically. And then there's the kind of the 99 boxes remix where there's like two 99 box loot device spawning in the map where you have to find a liquid nitrogen, and this time you're actually escaping through a truck, which is a guaranteed feature. And then you have to find the liquid nitrogen, put it inside of the big ass containers that you have with you, and as well as find the device, secure it in time to actually be able to get the highest amount of loot. This is the highest paying loot in the game so far, based on if I remember correctly. I also forgot to mention that there's like a fourth favor where it pretty much just allows you to spawn at the back of the warehouse in a dinghy, which is pretty nice if you want to be able to instantly get inside the building, and as well as more of a convenient and safer spot to secure loot, which is pretty damn good. It doesn't really have any downsides as far as I'm aware, but it's fine. But how is it for both stealth and loud? I've briefly mentioned, or I have literally talked about the RNG of it, but how is it in terms of loud and stealth? How are the objectives? In stealth, it is really damn good. Again, there's so many RNG and everything is always different. You're constantly moving around the facility, going room to room in search of keycards and as well as QR codes to be able to open up the vault, and as well as the other caged rooms that are locked behind a keycard. And some of these caged rooms actually have a die-packed money where as soon as you open the door, you need to go in and actually disable it before the money gets exploded by color, obviously. There's a lot of loot in the game that you can also find that are like very different. Like I said previously, there's also the I'm not saying the meme, shut up. That's my phone going off, sorry, but back to the point. There's also the device I previously mentioned, but there's also certain paintings that are also scattered throughout the heist, where you can either sometimes find them mostly on crates that are scattered throughout the heist. The crates, you kind of have to search for them depending on what type of a favor you had, whether it be for like finding a liquid nitrogen, or like I said previously, finding extra paintings that give you more money in one way or another. And that's pretty much it. It's just a big sandbox where you're kind of moving around finding loot, and the back secure location is not like really far away or in a really annoying spots compared to some of the other heists, which is pretty damn good. It's not in a open area where it's surrounded by guards. It's pretty good. It does what it needs to do. In terms of loud, the same thing is for stealth, where you kind of have to like move around and as well as find QR codes and as well as key cards and whatnot to open up doors, and as well as the armor transports. There's actually a couple of ways in how you can actually open up these armor transports, and it's genuinely really unique. There's like 3 ways you can actually open these depending on where they are located. For stealth, it's just a QR code where you have to find it, and that's pretty much it. And as for loud, there's 3 different ways. And you might think, like, what's exactly the difference between them? Well, for starters, that the hack can actually be interrupted whenever you hack the back door of it, and then the winch actually opens the back door the quickest way possible, and then the drilling beneath it is like the more safest route because you're actually covered by the armored transport and cops are unable to stop it whatsoever, but it does take some bit of time for it to open up. It's not as quick as like hacking it or breaking it down with a winch, but again, everything is different. It depends on what do you want. Do you want the quickest route? Do you want the safest route? Again, it's always different. You're not doing the same thing over and over. Well, yes, you are robbing the same stuff, but it's where they're located that makes it completely unique. Yes, I understand it uses a lot of used assets, but it's how they are used that makes it quite unique in its own ways. Again, there's so many RNGs. In terms of combat, especially against the enemies, it's actually quite well made. Cloakers spawn in like different areas, so it actually makes you be aware of your surroundings. Techies are actually kind of hated on this map, and then can be a lot of enemies from everywhere, basically. Like, you can actually be easily surrounded if you're not really quick enough. I've only really played this heist on solo, so it can be a different experience for Loud, but so far, based on what I've seen, the combat is actually really damn good. It's chaotic, it's claustrophobic, you're going to be seeing constant enemies overwhelming you, dozers blocking off certain doorways, or being with the enemy. Especially when you're outdoors, it can be very challenging if your escape or your loot location is somewhere outside, like the truck with the white container, especially if you get the 99 boxes favors with you, because there's a lot of sniperable locations that are like actually genuinely far away, and if you don't have any like long range weapons with you, or like some sort of a weapon that has solid range like a pistol, revolver, or whatever, then snipers can actually be quite challenging, the same way like in Boys in Blue, where they're very posted far away from you, and they can be a genuine threat. And the enemies themselves as well can be a genuine threat, because some of them can actually be on rooftops chilling and shooting at you if your escape is on the rooftop with Bile on the helicopter, essentially. Again, every combat is different. It just more or less depends on like how is it going to happen or what's going to happen, because it also relies on what's it called? RNG. Enemies are going to be spending more time on the rooftops if the Bile is on the chopper. Enemies are going to be outdoors more often, because if the escape is outside, they're going to be more focused on insides if the escape is on a dinghy, etc. Again, this heist is really damn fun. The music, everything about this heist is really damn great. The only problem I can really say about this heist is that on first, gameplay can be really annoying, because the game doesn't really give you a good understanding or a good idea as to how you can actually find these keycards or QR codes scattered throughout the map, which is probably the only problem I can really say about this heist. And the fact that certain favors are tied towards you know, the favors are tied towards like certain events that you want to happen, which I kind of wish it was kind of an RNG thing where they can sometimes appear, but with the favors it's more like a guarantee that it's going to happen. But then again, I'm not complaining about it. It just adds more flavor to the heist, which I really genuinely love. And yeah, what else did I miss? That's it as far as I'm aware. Again, it's just a big map that has shit ton of RNG that actually makes it unique, and your job is to just run around, steal money, disable die packs, open up trucks, and that's it. Escort trucks or do whatever. There's a lot of different objectives that you can do all at once that makes this heist unique. The only problem is, like I said, the favors are more or less like kind of ruining the extra RNG that it could have. Again, this heist is perfect, but I'd say it would have been more fantastic if those favors could have been able to actually generate on its own, but the favors just kind of exist there as a sort of like guarantee thing that it can happen. But then again, it's more like a personal grudge that I have myself, and that's it, honestly. Again, I don't really have any other problems with this heist. It runs smoothly, there's hardly any bugs, the stealthing is great, there's hardly any issues with it whatsoever. It's a genuinely well-made heist, and I can easily tell that the devs gave their best to be able to create a genuinely fun heist. The RNG is there, the replayability is there, and another big problem I have with this heist is the payout. You're meaning to tell me that I'm getting only like 1.2 mil? For God's sakes, look at the vault. When there's no trucks in the map, if no trucks spawned on the map, that means that all of the money, or 90% of the loot, spawned inside the vault. And when you look at it, you think, holy shit, there's so many money. You would be correct. However, when you go in and actually secure it on your own, you realize that you're only getting about like 1.2 mil from this shit. Which makes absolutely no sense. It is significantly less than First World Bank. If it was at least like 2 mil or 3 mil, okay, I would have understood it. But for 1 mil? That doesn't make sense to me, brother. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. In terms of story-wise, it kind of doesn't really make sense, but I'm having a second thought in my head where I think the Payday gang are starting to become a bit corrupt, sort of. Here's my theory. The core lore of it is that we're attacking the Palatucci gang for attacking us, which makes no sense because we are the ones that first initially robbed them in First World Bank. And then it kind of makes sense for the... Good lord. Sorry, that's my phone going off. Anyway, the core lore of it is that we robbed them on First World Bank, and then they kind of had a revenge arc where they robbed one of our contacts, I've forgotten her name, in Party Powder, and then we went back and did some more retaliation by killing their corrupt cops, and as well as stealing back the loot that they tried to steal. And then the gang are sort of apparently going on a power rampage where they want to get rid of the Palatucci gang for some reason by making sure they don't fuck with them, which is weird. And it can execute well if they say that, or I'm having this theory in my head where the Payday gang are starting to become corrupt and be a bit more unorganized. Bane is very specific in revenge, and he's not just some random person that goes around and just kills random people. Shade, on the other hand, is sort of that type. I'm starting to think that she's making the gang be a bit more aggressive than they should be, and as well as be more focused on unnecessary killing or unnecessary revenge arc, which might work. But if it's not, then it doesn't really make sense, because we're attacking a gang that we initially robbed for the sake of revenge or sending a message, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But then again, I'm not going to question it whatsoever. So yeah, again, that was just my own little personal theory that I have. If I had to overall rank this heist, it would definitely be a 8 out of 10. The only reason it's not a 10 out of 10, it's for two reasons. Number one being is that, like I said, the first time you play this heist can be a bit annoying at certain times, and as well as the favors being a little bit too one-sided, I guess you could say, where I kind of wish they existed on the, what's it called, on the heist itself. But actually no, I'm bumping it to 9 out of 10. It's a really good heist. The objectives are pretty self-explanatory, simple. You get what you need to do. You're not really waiting around a lot. You can actually complete this heist relatively quickly if you know what you're doing. Again, it's just like the first experience can be quite confusing and frustrating. And the price, oh boy. In European euros, it is around 7.5 or 7 euros and 50 cents. For Americans, it would be around $8, which is a little bit steep, which is probably the only problem I can really say. The heist is phenomenal, but is that extra price worth it? I'd say maybe. A little bit. Yes, kinda. Yes. It does make the heist generally replayable in my personal opinion. But that extra price can be a little bit steep for some people. However, much like the Party Powder, where if you're not really 100% certain if you're going to be enjoying it, the best way I can say is wait for a discount. At a discounted price, I would 100% recommend this heist, but at its full price, I would maybe recommend it if you do have the money. If you don't have the money, then I highly suggest waiting out for it, even if you want it badly. Or have a friend or someone from the Discord server of Payday be able to host one for you, so you can get a very good general idea of how the heist is. And you might be thinking, what else did they add in the game? That's it, honestly. It's literally just the heist itself, and as well as a pop-up screen for whenever you secure loot, and as well as being able to buy favors. Sure, there are some like bug fixes here and there and some changes, but that's really it. This video just kind of focuses on the heist itself, and that's it. The heist is good, but the update is kind of depressing in a way, because there really isn't much to add. So yeah, the update gets a 6 out of 10, but the heist itself is a 9 out of 10, which is kind of a shame. I was kind of hoping for at least a new weapon, which they did tease, by the way, twice, and it fucking pisses me off, but whatever, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to have to hold my tongue here, but either way. Yeah, that is all I can say. I hope this video gave you a very good insight on how the heist is, and I kind of hope it gave... it sets you up on how you can feel about the heist or if you're gonna buy it. But I'd say the heist is really good. I would definitely I did spend my money on it, and I'm kind of happy with what I spent it on. So yeah, I love the heist. I enjoy it. I will come back and play it, and it's one of my favorite heists so far. The same way with like a Fear and Greed, and as well as Boys in Blue and Touch the Sky, etc. That is all I have to offer. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see each and every one of you next time. Take care of each other, treat each other with respect, show some love, kindness to another. We are one big happy family in the shithole, and I will see each and every one of you next time. Goodbye. Now get out of my fucking house.